Hi, welcome back to part four. This is the last section for the walkthrough series that I've done here for BatNote for the access point mapping feature in our latest release. So for those who've been following along, we'll just do a very quick recap of what we've covered so far. So yeah, right at the start of part one, we went through how to mark access points onto survey imagery in BatNote. And then in part two, we then went from logging observations and then linking those observations with when the activity has been set to be an emergence to their relevant access point of where the emergence happened. And then we went and looked in part three of when we generated the final report, we could see all of our evidence collated for us, and it's been structured and ordered in a chronological way that made sense for the emergence survey. And also we were able to preview the report and then export and share that out from the app to whoever of interest, our colleagues, clients, etc. And now in this final part, we're going to be looking at how to edit access points on a completed survey. So yeah, this was a big one. So when I was developing this feature, one bit of feedback I had from an ecologist was it needs to be possible for BatNote to allow a completed survey to be editable, so an ecologist can go back, add new access points or edit observations, make changes to the completed survey, and then for that report to be regenerated, which shows the updated information. So again, following that draft first approach, always being editable at the start, during, and then at the end of the survey. So that's what I've designed. That feature's been heavily designed around that kind of approach and following those principles. And we're going to now go through how we can do that in BatNote. So now we're back on the simulator, and we can see we have the survey card. And if we just tap on that survey card, that will now take you to the survey details. So this is all the information that we collated through the survey. So we can see we had the survey type, all the survey details information, the equipment we used, the site now, because now we've completed the survey, we now have a site. So how that plays into new surveys, if you're doing a secondary survey for that same site, instead of having a new site, you can now click on the drop down and you'll be able to see Site Royal has come up there. So now we can see a section where we have access points, and this has the images we captured and where we've marked access points on. And in there, this is where we can now edit those access points. So if I go to, if I go to image one, so here again, it's the same UI that we had for when we were marking access points at the start of the survey. The edit access points UI should be familiar. So it's just, you can change again the roost features. So I can say, I don't know, rather than that being a windowsill, I can say this is actually a wall crack, for example. Again, I can change the offset from the anchor point from the point ring there. And you can save that. I can add more if I want to. So I can add, let's add one here, for example. I'm just going to say that's an Eve gap again. Save. And I can also remove as well. So if I no longer want to have this access point, or it was there an error, then you can remove that, and that'll delete it as well. One thing to note actually is if I go to, so obviously we knew that with image one, the primary image, I didn't log or link any observations to an access point. If I go to an image where I did, so I believe on image two, I linked an observation to point two here. If I go to remove, you'll get a warning saying this access point has actually been linked to one bat observation. So if you remove it, it will remove that linked access point from that observation as well. So the report will basically respect that essentially and remove that from the report. So if I click remove, that should, when we go back to the report for this particular image, we shouldn't see any observations anymore or any linked observations for that table. So I'm going to remove that and click done. Then I'm going to click save. Now, anytime you preview the report, it will regenerate based on the most up-to-date information we've made to the survey. So if I'm going to scroll through, so it was this one where I removed it. I removed I think it was actually access point 2. I removed it from here. But bear in mind, it doesn't remove. It will still keep the observations, regardless of their linked access points or not, in the table. So now you can see that from this is the evidence that we have here. So, oh, sorry, just let me scroll back down. Yeah, so we can see that this is the image that we have, and the access point's now been removed, and we no longer have an observation or any observations that have been linked to the access point. So that will no longer show up on the report. But obviously the ones where we do, we'll still have the observation showing the linked access point for that. So it's completely editable. You can kind of change it as much as you want, or you need to really. So another use case would be for, again, adding like I said, adding access points. So now we go back to image 2, we can add that back in. Or let's say rather than giving it the same roots feature, I maybe miscategorized it. So actually it's a hanging tile. I can click save for that hanging tile, and that'll add that access point back in. And now we can go to, I'm going to go to bat observations. So again, the observations as well are editable. So you can change them at the end of the survey. And this is where I was kind of using that example where ecologists will be reviewing footage they got from the survey where they might have missed observations because maybe it was too dark, and like I said, infrared's great for that, for capturing those scenarios. So we could say actually, yeah, there was another observation, and it happened around, let's say there 7:53 p.m. It was again a common pipstrel, and we give it a frequency, give it the emergence there, and just going to get a little reminder. So yeah, I'm going to use 0.2, which is now the roost feature has been changed from the ridge tile gap to now a hanging tile. Image 2.2. Just going to put this as a test. So now we have 4 observations. Now if I save that and then go to preview that report, get to the access point information. So you can see here, we now added a new observation for this particular image, and we changed the roost feature. Well, this time we actually added it. So the roost feature is now a hanging tile rather than a ridge tile gap. And that was for our new bat observation that we've observed, or we've looked back through our footage. So we've now appended that to the report, and now regenerate and again respect kind of all the formatting that comes from the original report. Just to kind of prove that the roost feature does update, I'm just going to quickly update that back to a ridge tile gap. So we go back to the card, into the image, tap the access point, click on the roost feature. That's ridge tile gap, save that point, done, save, preview the report. And now you can see the roost feature has been updated. So any changes you're making in the survey details will automatically, once you've obviously confirmed that you wanted to save those changes, will automatically update that report when you preview. So it will regenerate the report. So then you can export that back out and then send it off. So the survey report always remains up to date based on the survey details that you've captured from that survey. And this is quite powerful because, like I said, you can edit pretty much everything from the equipment used. You can even change the site that you're actually on. Again, access points. the weather conditions as well. Like if you're, for whatever reason, if you want, if the fetched weather conditions weren't correct, I mean rare, but if they weren't, you can go in and change that. So let's say actually the sunset was an hour before, we can submit that. So now it's at 8:12 p.m. rather than 9:12 p.m. So we can save that, preview. Let's go to weather conditions. And now it's updated the sunset to be time question. So yeah, survey details is very powerful. And like it just gives the ecologist control of being able to edit the survey, refine the survey report ready to be sent out. So yeah, that's part 4. I think that is the end. That's all I'm going to show, I think, today for this. I think one thing I did mention quite early on was the OS grid reference. I was saying about you can change to precision when it's for the site details. So you can do that in settings. So on profile in the top right, you click on the settings icon. Here is your OS grid reference setting. So you can change it to be a 6-figure, 8-figure. So if I just say I want it to be a 6-figure, let's go to a new survey. I'm just going to put in some gobbledygook. Auto pin. So now it will be a 6-figure grid reference. So you can change the precision, which I mentioned. I believe it was in part 1. At that time, I said I was going to cover that. So I hope this was helpful. I really hope that doing these walkthrough videos helps ecologists kind of get on board. And also just want to say, just a kind of a massive thank you to, I've worked with a lot of ecologists now, and your feedback has been fantastic. Your criticism as well has been even better, because it's made everything that I'm getting, in terms of kind of feedback, is I'm using that to iterate the next version of BatNote. This app is very much driven by the feedback, and just the response is really from ecologists using the app in the field, just to kind of make it as representative as possible. So the app doesn't become a hindrance. It actually becomes a productivity tool for ecologists to use. So I think I'm going to leave it there. But again, thank you very much for everyone who's using BatNote, who's signed up, who's given it a go. And there's so many more ideas I've got for BatNote. So I'm not going to say too much now, leave the suspense. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Take care.